So my question to you is, you were talking so much about religion. So my basic question is, how did religion basically evolve? What was the proto-religion that was followed at basically when it was actually forming? So some people say that Hinduism is one of the oldest religions. So what are your points on that? What was the
Uh,
first religion and how did all it got
as
started?
the evidence suggests, Hinduism is one of the oldest religions.
Okay.
Uh, there is a theory which I believe in. There are some proofs to it, but I'm not really sure how true it is. I'll just explain that theory, which I believe to be true.
Yes.
So, from my perspective, it all started when we started living in uh, societies,
Okay.
and that happened when we started agriculture.
10,000
So,
BC around, if I'm not
around that time.
wrong.
So when we started living around each other and in societies, we needed some rules to guide us and
Hmm.
our future generations to settle in a system so that
What
everything
kind of
works
tool?
fine. So something like let's say that a task is divided into a lot of people, right? The
Hmm.
basic gender roles where males go
Okay.
for hunting and gathering food, and females take care of the
Okay.
house and the society in general.
Right.
So
Right.
those kinds of rules were laid out
Hmm.
based on the physical abilities at that point of time and the necessities which were required at that point of time.
Hmm.
Then among them there were some people who started looking towards things and questioning everything. That why are such and such stars always aligned in this manner, or why
Okay.
do
At that point of time,
at that point of time
people
why do
actually
we
ask these type of
yeah.
questions. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, you see something and you want to explain it to yourself, right?
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Right. Right. Right. Hmm.
That you see a star and why is it that it's only at that point.
Yes.
And the
Exactly.
thinking process started from there. They may not know the
Okay.
answer.
Hmm. Right.
Their thought process might have been different, but they started
Hmm.
to explain things which they saw around themselves. And to explain those things, they laid out certain ideas uh, which they thought were correct.
Hmm. Okay.
So from there, expanded the idea of following something. There,
Hmm.
that so essentially the earliest humans worshipped Mother Earth.
Mother Earth,
They
shamans. They were called shamans, I think. The rocks,
so
the rivers.
shamanic culture is another culture in the Americas
Okay.
because they lived in the Amazon forests.
Hmm.
So shamanic culture developed from there because the shamans essentially worship. They knew a lot about botany. If you think it in today's
Okay.
perspectives, so they knew a lot about
Pottery.
botany. Botany,
Botany.
botany.
Botany. Botany. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they knew which plants to mix and which herbs and all
Right.
the things to use to heal something or to have certain experiences.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that is seen across the history of mankind. That people started worshipping the nature. They had
Hmm.
a tree
Right.
god. They worshipped the sun. They worshipped the moon. They worshipped different things in that order.
This is the
Now,
proto-religion
this is the
that you are laying out.
so, yeah. So this is the first kind of religion which people started following because
Okay.
that
So,
thing gave
hmm.
them something. The
Right.
Mother
Right.
Nature is giving them something, and they thought
Hmm.
that it's good to
Great. They are
worship them so
grateful
that
for
they
that.
get.
Basically, they are
Yeah, they are
grateful
great.
for that
So
they have
they
got
are
it.
grateful for that,
Right.
and
Hmm.
they did things. They all the rituals were practiced in such a way that
Right.
it will help grow Mother Nature.
Okay. Huh.
Hmm.
So all kinds of rituals in that sense were basically for that, so that we offer you something, you give us something, and it was
Hmm.
simple
Hmm. Right.
trade, but with the nature,
With the God.
Hmm.
with the for them. But again,
For them, it was
at that
God.
point, it was
Right.
not God. It was just
God.
an idea that because you are doing something,
Okay.
You
uh,
might get something also.
He
we
might
will
be a
offer you
creator
something.
or whatever
Exactly.
they call it that
So
point of
the
time.
idea of God came into
Hmm.
picture when people started questioning how does the nature give us something.
Okay.
So I mean, again, this is my thesis. I mean, this is my
Hmm.
thinking of it, but
No, it's not a
there
problem.
might be some truth to it. So
Yes, we are
for
not
me,
actually
I
finding
believe
the truth. We are not
uh,
up to that. We can find it at some other books also, but we are
yeah.
more interested in your idea. What's your assumption related to that?
So that's when people started questioning how does that provide us? There might be something more to it,
Right.
and then people took to the skies to see what's happening. They saw certain patterns
Hmm.
in the sky of
Mhm.
Right.
stars, and they questioned why do certain alignments are in a certain pattern,
Constellation.
and they observed, let's say that a certain constellation is there, and a person born during that time
Hmm.
went on to do this and this thing. That
Mhm.
might
Okay.
be the point where astrology came into picture.
Yeah.
That
Okay. It's that much old. The
yeah,
astrology.
it can be. I mean, you see, what is astrology? It's just looking at the stars, thinking about what point or at what place a person is born, and
Hmm.
Mhm.
mapping their future according to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Mapping that person's future according to that. What that is the concept of kundli, right? Uh,
Right.
that certain points in your timeline in your birth cycle will do such and such things, and all of this
Mhm.
took time to evolve.
Hmm.
Most of these things were just observations,
Right.
Mhm.
but now that we have to explain these things to other people and we have to propagate these ideas, the
Hmm.
ancestors started developing stories between them,
Mhm.
Okay.
and that evolved into different branches. Storytelling can be
Hmm.
of different types, right? You see the
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
same trope, you see the same trope in movies. First came Dil Chahta Hai, then came ZNMD, and then came Three Idiots. All of them have the same idea,
Yes.
right?
Same
Bonding
idea. Right.
between people, but through different lenses, and that's what
Yes.
religion essentially is. So that's where the stories became irrelevant. Through
Hmm.
word of mouth, through whatever kind of music that they wanted to portray, they started orating stories to the younger generation so that they know
Hmm.
how to do things in an easier to understand manner.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Right.
That evolved into also I'll move from Hinduism perspective. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
let's say we are at now this is the conception of Hinduism, that
Okay.
these are certain things. So
Hmm.
again, there are two things I'd like to differentiate here. There's Hindutva and then there is Hinduism, and
Okay.
those are two different things.
Hmm.
So we talk about Hinduism, which is a way of life. Hindutva are
Okay.
rules. Hinduism is an idea,
Okay.
Okay.
is a way to conduct your life. So I'll
Okay.
talk about Hinduism.
So Hinduism
So
came first, and Hindutva
yes,
came later
Hindutva
when
is
they got
basically
very much
Hindutva came
subjective
in.
or very
The
much.
word Hindutva was introduced by in 1990s, 1919,
Oh,
I think, around that time,
Okay.
okay.
by
It's
Veer
not
Savarkar.
that much.
Yeah.
Right.
So to propagate the idea of Hinduism, the in
Hinduism.
1919 or 1918, Veer Savarkar
By
wrote a book, and
fabricating certain subtle rules that
yes,
you should
so
act now in this certain way.
exactly, because
That a
Okay.
Hindu
at
must
that
follow.
point they were fighting against the British, so they wanted
Okay. Okay.
certain strong ideals, and
Right.
that's when the idea of Hindutva came into picture. Hinduism is
Hmm.
way old. Hinduism is a
Mhm.
way of
Okay.
life,
Right.
as are all religions. So,
Hmm.
certain ideals came and people agreed on it, and that's how we what we call Hinduism. They
Hmm.
were the ideas which certain people agreed on, that okay, this is it.
Right.
We'll follow certain things. So we have too many gods, right? The
Mhm.
biggest criticism, or you can say the biggest
Yes.
defining idea of
It's
Hinduism is
also
that we have
called
too many gods.
poly or what? I'm forgetting the other term. It's
Polytheistic.
Polytheism.
polytheism.
Polytheistic.
Polytheism.
Yeah.
Polytheism.
Polytheistic.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Hinduism a polytheistic religion, because
Right.
as I said, right, we worshipped Mother Nature, and we have gods for
Hmm.
rain, we have god for
Mhm.
sun, we have god for
33 types
moon,
of
we have
God.
god for everything.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how you can link that it can be the oldest religion or one
Hmm.
of the oldest religions.
Okay. Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So all kinds of polytheistic religions is a theory that all of them have stemmed from Hinduism, be it
Shaman.
Zoroastrianism or the Egyptian mythology, the Roman mythology.
And I think Christianity also talks about the Trinity, the three supreme
Um,
powers,
so
soul.
again, Islam and Christianity also diverged from Hinduism as a branch. Uh,
Okay.
the- I, so was Buddhism, so was Jainism.
Okay.
All of them are
Okay.
Sikhism as well. All of them are versions, divergence, branches of the same idea,
Hinduism. Okay.
Hinduism. I mean,
Hmm.
again, this is what I believe, but there are certain texts or proofs leading to this. And I think Abhijit Chavda has also talked about this. So
Okay.
you can take a look at one of his videos, and he explains it really nicely. I'll just give a brief idea of what he says. So he says that is polytheistic, and the idea is to concentrate on a point. So what does Hinduism talk about? It's essentially you deliver to the Paramatma,
Supreme power or
the
God.
supreme body, supreme power,
Hmm.
supreme God, and
Right.
Paramatma has different forms.
Hmm.
And so to be one with the Paramatma, you have Atma, and you be one with the Paramatma.
Paramatma.
That is the
Yeah.
goal of
आत्मा का
Hinduism.
परमात्मा से मिलन.
Atma ka Paramatma se milan. And that is
Right. Right.
when you say that you've achieved Nirvana, or you say that
Nirvana.
you've
But Nirvana is, I think, it's the
broken.
Buddhism idea.
Yeah,
If
so
you
that's
talk
the thing,
about.
right? It's the same idea broken down into different ways and
Right.
talk
Right.
to about in
Hmm.
different ways.
Hmm.
What we say is that we break the cycle of birth and life, the karmic cycle. So we
Karmic
break
Hmm.
cycle. Right.
in Hinduism. We say that we've broken that karmic cycle when you are one with the Paramatma.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay.
Hinduism talks about. Buddhism
Hmm.
talks about the same thing, that you have to achieve nirvana. How do you achieve nirvana? You you pray to one entity, to the supreme entity, and that's what
And leaving
Buddhism
of
talks about.
materialistic world also.
The, exactly, nothing should matter to you.
Hmm. Right.
Jainism, the concept of Jainism is, if you do not do any karma in this life, and you are born with certain positive karma because of your uh, so because you're born as a human. So this is the concept of Jainism, that because you're born as a human, you have some positive karma. Now if you don't do
Hmm.
anything negative, you're still the net is positive, and you will
Hmm.
you gain a
Born as a
positive
human.
mood. So you again
Okay.
die. You are born as a human, and you will do something positive in your life. So that keeps on adding up, and then that's when you reach
Nirvana.
Nirvana. In Buddhism,
Hmm.
it talks about that you should do positive. You should proactively go and seek positive things and
Hmm.
add to your positive karma. In
Hmm.
Hinduism, there are yonis and gotras, which say that you will be born in a certain yoni if you do these karma. If you will be born in a certain yoni if you do that karma.
Hmm.
So
It's the idea of which religion? The uni.
Hinduism.
Hinduism,
Hinduism only. Okay.
yeah. So if you see, it is essentially talking about what work you do in your
Hmm.
life that will add to what happens in your afterlife.
Right.
Idea is really simple, right? To
Hmm.
promote. So now, if you think about it, it's essentially to promote people doing good work.
Yeah.
Right. In some
It's
sense.
basically that. That if you do good work, you will
You will get
have
reward.
some incentive. You will have some incentive, and
Incentives. If you not get incentive in this life, but surely you will get in afterlife or in your
that.
other
So
life
again,
that
that's
will
just
be much
motivation,
superior.
right?
Right.
That is
Some sense
motivation.
of
If
motivation.
you can even tell a child to that if you do this kind of work, you will get a bicycle or a toffee, whatever. So it's just
Right. Right. Right.
incentive based. I like to think of it as an incentive based program where
Right.
you are being given things, ideas
Yes.
that you'll do
To
this
follow
and you'll get
some
this.
rules.
It's
Right.
Yeah.
To
essentially
follow
that.
some rules also.
Even in Islam, they say that if you do these things, you will get heaven. You will read
Heaven.
the concept of
Heaven.
heaven and
Yes.
earth.
Heaven.
Heaven and hell was introduced by Islam and Christianity, but essentially
Okay.
it's the same thing, right? That if you do this thing, you will you will go to heaven
Swarg
and you
and
will go
Nark,
there. Swarg or Nark, heaven, hell, Jahannam or Jannat. So
Jannat.
Hmm.
Right.
it's all same thing.
All the same. Right.
Christianity and Islam is really linked to each other.
Hmm.
Even the names are very similar sounding. So these are called Abrahamic religions, which follow
Hmm.
one personality. So
Okay.
it's Muhammad in Islam, it's Jesus in Christianity, and that's called Abrahamic religions.
Who was
Um,
Abraham?
so
How did it got its name Abraham?
um, now the origin is from Arabic, and that derives its origin
Middle
from
East. Middle
Middle.
East area.
Yes,
I think
so
Christianity also developed in that area because the Bible is written in
Jerusalem.
Hebrew.
Where is Jerusalem? It's
Middle
in the
East.
Middle East. It's Israel, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Right.
So
Israel.
Christianity, Jesus is said to be born in Jerusalem, right? And that is in Israel. That's how
Hmm.
things went. And if you see, all of them are awfully close to the undivided India, which you talk about. The
Hmm.
undivided India was parts of Afghanistan, Pakistan, modern day Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, parts of Myanmar.
Myanmar
So
also, yes.
yeah, so the undivided India stretched from Afghanistan, the Hindu Kush mountains, which are
Hmm.
named because they were Kush people who lived in that area. So it stretched from
Okay.
the Hindu Kush mountains till Myanmar and Cambodia in Southeast Asia.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So that's what the undivided India is talked about. And then there is another theory about the Nordic Aryans and the German in the Nordic Aryan invasion. It can be an invasion theory. It can be it is a migratory theory.
Hmm.
What I
Okay.
believe in that pe- people from the undivided India, we'll call it that. We'll call India that now. So people from India went ahead and spread ideas.
Hmm.
And
From
what
India.
was being from India and what was being followed in India, it was a form of Hinduism or uh,
Right.
a concept of idea which was accepted by everybody.
Right.
So they were following Hinduism. They spread to different locations, interacted with local people, and tried to explain things in their language.
Hmm.
So that's how different religions formed.
Hmm.
Okay. Hmm.
So sometimes people need to focus on something and to concentrate. You either so you're told if you practice meditation, you're told that you should concentrate on one point, and that
Right.
point can be anything, right? Either this or you imagine something or whatever.
So Hindu
So
gave them
you're
some
told to
point.
concentrate on that point. Exactly. So you're told to concentrate on
Hmm.
some point. That concentration is hard for some people and easy for some people.
Hmm.
Right.
To make it easier, uh, Hinduism practices idol worship. Idol worship
Hmm.
Hmm.
essentially you
Yeah.
can
I will
imagine
worship.
something and it's easier to imagine that and concentrate.
Hmm.
Hmm.
For with the religions which do not practice idol worship, they they are told to focus on one entity or one power or whatever it can be anything, right?
Right.
Again, the idea is concentrate, surrender, and get the strength to deal with the problems.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
again, coming back to the point, so they started spreading the ideas that they believed were working for them, and they thought that it will help everyone.
Hmm.
So there are two kinds of migration explained in history. One, the first African migration, which expanded the humanity.
Yes, from Savannah to
Yeah,
all
so
the
from
parts of
Savannah to
world.
the entire world. The other
Right.
kind of migration, which is explained, is the cultural migration, and that
Okay.
cultural migration is defined from the Afghanistan, Pakistan, India region, where they spread all the ideas.
Hmm.
I'm forgetting an ethnicity, but that ethnicity is related to Indian. So there is a gene. Uh, there's a gene in humans which, if you trace back, you can all anyway you can trace it all the back to the first ancestors and figure out
Hmm.
which from where did you come?
Hmm.
And
Right.
right now, most of the Europeans and Indians, the present day Europeans and present day Indians, have that common gene,
Hmm.
which
Okay.
says F something. I don't remember the name of it. Uh,
FX01, something like this.
I think so. I'm not really sure. So that is the common gene which can be found in both Indians and Europeans, and
Okay.
Okay.
that
And what's
essentially
the
suggests
trait
that
for
we
of
have.
gene?
Sorry.
What's the trait of that gene? What does that gene
So
define in the
no.
human?
So it's just for dating and linking
Location.
which location you were from,
Okay.
and that dates. So that gene is found in majority in India, and you can see the similar genes in Europe and towards the Mongolian side. So that essentially
Okay.
explains that there was a migration in this
How the
family,
spread was,
not the other way around.
how spread took place. Right.
Hmm.
Exactly. So that's how I think the religion also spread, right? We were explaining some things. Now people there couldn't understand, so we try to explain it in their format. There are
Hmm.
there is a festival in France, which so there is a concept of Visurgin in India, right? Where we
Right.
Visurgin for Durga,
Lord
for
Ganesha.
Ganesh. Exactly. So there is a similar concept. There's a similar festival in France where they do the same ceremony for Mother Mary,
Okay.
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 and
It's under
uh,
Christian religion, or is it different from that?
so it is a part. It is a way of Christianity, but
Okay.
it is disguised Hinduism, right?
Okay.
Hmm.
If you
Yes, it
think
is.
about it,
It is kind of. Yes.
see, so uh, that's the idea that people followed something similar. They just
Hmm.
had different ways of accepting it,
Hmm.
and because the last time we talked about how religious practices were taken into different considerations,
Yes, 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 you
into different
actually did.
and misunderstood.
Right. Right.
Similarly, the same thing happened with all other religions, right? So now we had ideas. People thought that they are rules, commandments, and that's how the solid or the extremist groups or the extremist views on religion came about.
Right.
So
Okay.
that is my theory on how religion spread and how it developed
Hmm.
from a single point or a single idea
Hmm.
that we should worship
Right.
every.
Hmm.
So again, you can see that in Roman mythology. You can see that in Egyptian mythology. You can see that in Nordic mythology. Uh, Thor, god of lightning, and
Hmm.
Right.
is similar to Indra. Is similar to
Indra.
Zeus.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
Athena.
In some sense.
Uh, all of these people have similar stories. So there might be
Hmm.
some common point, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I believe that things spread.
But I also think that many civilizations got shattered off due to religion only.
Uh, so I don't know what you mean by that.
I think Maya
Uh,
civilization was one of the civilizations that got completely, basically, removed from their descents due to because they excessively practice religion and they more deployed on God for food and their other practices.
so
So they
again, see,
surely had some ideas also, but I think it's a bit earlier than Hinduism, Maya
um,
civilization, if
see
you've heard of.
again, we can go ahead and check the timelines of the earliest known texts
Right,
or ideas, and
right,
I would still like to believe that they also talked about something similar. So it
right.
can be right
They
now that I'm discussing something and you are discussing something.
right,
We have some points. Both of us go to different points. We go to and have a different way
right.
of telling the story.
Yes,
I'm
but there is
not
some
saying that
congruence.
there is some congruence, right?
Right,
So
Hmm.
right.
it will have some common point,
Hmm.
and that's what
Hmm.
I believe. So everything started from an idea that we need some things to uh, contextualize and explain what's happening and how the society should function,
Right.
and that's how the idea spread.
No. Yes, it was great idea that you basically put from Hinduism to other religions that are being formed, and the tree is Hinduism, and all the other religions are its branches.
It's their own
I mean,
understanding of Hinduism that they formed a new
yeah, that's
religion.
my understanding of it.
Yes, yes, I think it was quite
At
great
least in the
understanding.
Asian, European, so on this side of the world, at least on
Right,
this side,
right.
most of the ideas
Because
are
it
similar.
was, I think, quite old also, the India and the Eurasian
Exactly.
part.
Hmm.
So
North
we are not
America
really
and
taught about the
Australia are
Chola dynasty.
Chola
Sorry, you were saying.
dynasty. I think it's Southern India dynasty, Chola dynasty.
So
It
yeah,
was in Southern
that's all we
India.
know, right? In our
Right. The I
schooling, we
think
are only
7th
taught that.
AD, 7th or 6th AD,
That's
somewhere
all we
around
know
that.
about it.
Yes.
It's
And
just
the
one line that
history
a Chola
starts
dynasty
from the
existed.
Harappa. Yes. And our history
That
starts from Indus Valley civilization only. It does not actually talks
exactly,
about how religion
exactly.
evolved and how the
But
people reacted and how they engaged.
so the Chola dynasty spread from Tamil Nadu in India to
Right.
Singapore, Cambodia, Lagos in those
Okay.
East Asia, Southeast Asia, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why you see Hindu culture in those places. You have
Yes.
temples in Indonesia. The
Angkor Wat
Hmm.
Temple.
national emblem of Indonesia is Garud.
But yes, there are many traces of Ramayana also. And if you
Yeah,
see
so
in
Garud is the
Thailand
vehicle of
and
Vishnu, Lord Vishnu.
okay.
Vishnu.
Yes, yes, yes.
So,
I think it
and
has two
that is the
horses and it
national
flies.
emblem of Indonesia. Their
Oh,
international airlines is called Garuda Airlines.
Hmm.
oh, it's that famous.
Similarly, in Japan, you see traces of Buddhism. You see traces of Ramayana.
Yes,
Traces, I mean,
exactly.
the ideas. So
Hmm.
Ideas.
you
Yeah.
see
Stories also. They have similar
their stories
stories.
as well.
Yes,
So
They have their own
they're
versions of
quite
Ramayana and
resemble.
you
Mahabharata.
see that till
Right, right, right.
Japan that the same idea spread, right? How did it spread?
Yes,
There had
exactly.
to be
That's the
some
point.
way
One
that
single point.
people went, right,
So, according to Chola dynasty, was majorly responsible for spreading these ideas
for
at that
spreading
point.
Hinduism in this part of the
Hinduism
world,
and in the eastern part, Eastern Asia,
in East Asia and Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia. Yes, majorly.